Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Adversity Diaries. In today's episodes, we are diving into the world of gymnastics with Kanji Oyama, a former elite gymnast whose journey through the sport is marked by resilience, passion, and unwavering commitment to excellence. From the highs of national championships to the challenges of injuries and setbacks, Kanji's story is a powerful testament to the perseverance needed to thrive at the highest levels. Join us as we explore the triumphant trials that have shaped his remarkable career. Thank you so much, Kanji, for being with us.
Yeah.
I'm so excited to hear from you, and I'm really excited to get to talk to you again. It's been a few years, I think, since
Yeah.
the last time we kind of saw each other and talked
Yeah.
and worked with you. So it was a really good time to work with you. But thanks for joining us and sharing your wisdom and knowledge to all of us.
Yeah. No, thanks for inviting me. I'm super excited. It's gonna be fun.
Awesome. Hey, dude. So first thing I want to do is this. Look, so first segment is very simple. We have these would you rather questions, right? So just play with us. It's maybe some question might be related to when you're, an athlete. Some of them will be your current, what are you doing right now, which you're gonna let us know later. But would you rather questions? Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's do it. So first question. Would you rather perfect your pommel horse routine but struggle on the rings, or excel on the rings but have difficulty with floor exercises?
That's a good question, honestly, because I was good on both floor and rings. Well, not I was good, but I liked doing both floor and rings. So if I don't want to struggle in either, but I was already bad on horse, so struggling more on a bad event is just I don't I want to be good on everything, but I think I would rather struggle on horse and be good on rings, because or you say floor exercise or
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I think I'd rather struggle with the horse and be better at something else than be
It makes sense. I
yeah
feel like, if you're already not as good at something, you might as well not be good at it. Is that what
yeah.
you're saying?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, because horse is already difficult for me. So if I struggle on horse, it's already a struggle to begin with. So I'll just I'm okay with that. I'm comfortable with that. So I'd rather struggle on horse.
Awesome. All right. So next, would you rather? So bear with me on this. Would you rather win an individual gold medal at the Olympics when you were going for this, or lead your team to a world championship victory?
Ooh, that's tough. Because the Olympics is peak, world championships are also very important, but you get one every year, except for the Olympic year, obviously. And I feel like the team aspect in gymnastics every year is always super important, but the Olympics I think it's a little bit more rare. It just happens a little less frequently. I think I'd rather go for the individual gold at the Olympics.
Do you feel like, when you say the team aspects, it's for me it's so interesting because you're still competing individually.
Yeah.
But then what do you mean by the team aspect?
So at least when I was on national team, we have team meetings, during our national team camps, we'll have we'll have what do you call goals and expectations for the year and stuff that'll be sent out as emails or phone calls or whatever. And on the top of the list is always team gold at this world event, or team gold at the Olympics. And then the next one would be all right, our next goal will be individual medalists, or qualifying individually to the Olympics. Because when I was still training, if you were an individualist and you're only doing one or two events, there's a set path where it's if you place well in this one, then you go to this one, and if you place well in this one, then you go to the next one, and then if you do everything right, then you qualify yourself to the Olympics. But that was usually a secondary thing. We want you to succeed, but we want Team USA, we want USA Gymnastics as a team to succeed more so. So I think it was just a sense of if we had an option of okay, we could send this guy for a potential medal individually, or we could send the group for a potential for a medal at the Olympics or at the World Championships or whatever. We'll be shifting more towards the team. And if something happens, God forbid, there's an injury or something like that, then we'll be okay, I guess we'll start changing it up a bit, changing our strategy a bit to help push for the individual gold or individual medal.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a side question. It's not related to this, but I feel like I have to ask right now. I mean, just the Olympics just recently ended.
Yeah, yeah.
And I mean, the men, gymnastics,
Really?
did they, I mean, what about them? Like, I know they did so much better than the previous people coming
Yeah.
pipes.
Like, what are my
What?
thoughts on that?
Yeah.
I think, well, first off, like those guys, I've only trained with a handful of those guys, like Steven Ederosic. I think I graduated, or maybe my senior year and his freshman year we competed. I'm not sure. It was, we only touched base like a little bit, but I think he's the only one that I actually like directly competed against. Because Brody was injured. Actually, maybe I did compete. Anyways, but those guys are super talented, like phenomenal. And I think one of the things that helped USA Gymnastics recently is like the colleges have been able to continue their training. And obviously there's most of them, I think all of them are still in school. So like the NCAA college program is able to like continue their training while also be in school. And I think that's really important. For a lot of us that already graduated, it was like, okay, we could try to like pull some strings and stay at the university that we graduated at, but we don't get like all the benefits, you know, like at the training center, we had like, you know, the physical therapy, we had like sports psychology, sports nutrition, we had everything. But once you graduate college, you don't get all of those benefits anymore. Like you could like, you know, if you're friends with them, you could like call them up and be like, hey, you know, I'm dealing with this back pain. Can you help me out? But besides that, you have to like hire your own stuff. And if you're not on national team, then you don't get paid. So it's like, it's really tough after you graduate. But like in the college program, it's like they help you out with everything. They're like, you know, if you're injured, we'll cover you. It's just like the training center. But I think that's probably one of the big things that really helped them out is that college program is really supplemental, beneficial for these younger athletes.
That's cool.
Yeah.
All right, next question. Would you rather coach a young gymnast to Olympic success or come out of retirement for one more major competition?
Oh man, I'd rather come out of retirement.
Really?
Like, yeah, the thing is, okay, this is a little bit different because I don't like coaching very much.
Okay.
I feel like I invest too much whenever I'm coaching. Like I coached a couple times. My first time coaching was in college, and then I did some like private lesson stuff afterwards. But I just feel like I get too invested, and because they're just kids, you know, like I'd rather have them have fun and enjoy the sport. But from a coach's standpoint, you want them to succeed, you know, like I feel like we see the bigger picture, but they're just like in the moment. So it's like, oh, I'm just gonna, you know, do this thing today because my friends are doing it and I'm having fun. But it's like, no, I don't want you to do this thing. I want you to do this other thing that's not as fun, but you know, it'll set you up better for the future. And it's like, for me, it's very conflicting to like, all right, we're going to take away your happiness now so that you could be happier later with when you start winning and start competing well, you know, I don't know. So in that sense, I'd rather come out of retirement and compete again because I absolutely love competing. And like, I love like preparing for competition and stuff. But it's like, for that one, it's like, would you rather have like a full 5-course meal or would you rather have McDonald's? And it's just like, I don't want McDonald's. You know, like, this was an easy one.
And would you rather face the pressure of performing first in a competition or be the last gymnast to perform with all eyes on you?
Oh, that's kind of tough because I feel like both of those roles, especially in gymnastics, is really important. When we competed as a team, it was always like the first guy up sets the pace. So you want that consistent guy to go first to make sure that, you know, you set the tone, you set the pace. But the last guy is always really important because when you're last up, usually you had the most difficult routine. So like you're kind of like, if you're like, you know, teetering on a medal, then like that last guy is the one that's going to bump you over. But I think I'd rather be the last guy up because I want to be like the hero guy and, you know, get that medal or get us over the top.
Nice. Love it. All right, next question here. Would you rather have a long, consistent career with a few injuries or a short, intense career with multiple championships? Oh.
That's also really tough. Dang, Carlos, you got some good questions, man. I think, man, but injuries suck. I feel like I'd rather have the long, consistent career. Cause yeah, I think I'd rather have the long, consistent career. But winning's fun too, though.
It's that's a hard one, right? I've talked to a few people in the as well, and then when I when you give them that prize suffering, it's like
Yeah,
how much do I want to suffer for the rest of my life?
yeah.
I know.
Well,
So
no, that's so true.
it's not easy, but okay. Last question here.
Mm.
I think you kind of answer this one, but let's go with it.
Yeah.
Would you rather be known for your artistic flair in gymnastics or for your
Mm.
incredible technical precision?
To be known, like other
To be
people,
known, yeah.
yeah. Like that'll be cool to be known for my like artistic side because like I feel like I tried to add a little bit of artistic like aspects to my gymnastics, but I wasn't like creative enough. Like I feel like there's guys out there that are like super creative. They do like a lot of cool stuff, and like you could like watch their silhouette doing gymnastics and be like, oh, that's this guy. Like this is like a small aspect, but remember Adrian AD?
Yeah.
Like he has the best form in like out of any gymnast I know. Like his feet are always together, his toe is always pointed perfectly. And like even if you don't look at his face and you just look at his body doing the gymnastics, like okay, that's AD. Like you could tell like it's like everything like feet like this, like just hands, arms, everything's perfect. But like I don't think I was creative enough to have like that special style. And I was always more so on the technical side. So I think being known like technically well would be, I think, fits my style. But what I would want is the artistic side.
Nice. Nice. Thanks, Kanji. Well, that was the last question, and I appreciate it for that. So, bring us back to where you grew up, right? So, I mean, how do you get into gymnastics? And, do you have any challenges pursuing that, or was like an easy ride for you? You know what I mean? Like, how was that for you, young Kanji back in the day?
Back in the day, little guy. Growing up, I feel like I wasn't as like into it as I feel like a lot of people would assume. Like I did it. I mean, I started when I was like 6, but I did it because like I had a lot of friends that's doing it, and we were having fun, and I get to like use up all this like pent up energy that I always have, and you get to like learn new stuff. But growing up, it was more so like I like the like competitive aspect of it. So like I'll go to the gym and be like, oh, my friend's doing this, so I want to do this too. Or like it's always it's like a fun thing. And I didn't really get like that passion and like drive until college. Once I got to college, it was like, whoa, like gymnastics is so much bigger than I thought. Like it's like a bigger world, even though it's like it's tiny compared to other sports. But it's like to me, growing up in California, in like the gym that we were in, it just didn't feel as big. But then like we go to college and it's like, okay, yeah, this is so much bigger. And I think that's when like the actual like I really want to be doing this like motivation started.
So, so basically, did you have like, so you were not like those guys who were like, oh, gymnastics is gonna be it for me. You know what I mean? Like some kids are like, okay, I want to be this. That's it. You were just like, I do it. I'm good at it. So you never thought about like making national team or Olympics, or that was not there yet.
Okay, so like the gym I grew up in, we had like a lot of like elite level gymnasts, a lot of like high names, like Sam McCulloch, three-time Olympian, multi-time USA champion. He was in our gym. We had Adrian de Los Angeles. We had older guys like Glenn Eschino, like Jason Lawton, all those guys. But they kind of took a lot of the spotlight, and I was kind of like, I wasn't like super low, but I wasn't as good as them. So it was just like, oh man, that'd be cool to do stuff like that. But it was always kind of like a distant dream. It was like, okay, like maybe one day I could get to that, but I'm not that good. So I think that was kind of like a little bit of like a veil of like, I'm just going to do my own thing, and I'm just going to watch them do their thing, and they're competing internationally when they're like 15, 16 years old. But yeah, I don't know. I think
Do you feel like you were like an underdog all the time? Like coming to the guidelines?
Yeah, kind of. I think, I mean, not that I think I wasn't highly recruited out of high school. I wasn't like the best gymnast in my year. So yeah, I felt like I was always like running, like chasing after, or like going after what I wanted to go after.
How did that feel? Like that was something like you like, you know, you had to do it. Like how was that? It was motivation for you, or you just kind of like accepted it? Like, well, how was that mindset for that?
It was a lot of motivation for sure. I am like very competitive by nature. So it was like if I see like especially like maybe not like the much older guys, but like Adrian and Sam, like watching those guys, I'm just like every day in the gym, I'm just like, all right, how do I get to there? How do I like what do I need to do? How do I need to work? So yeah, a lot of motivation. It was mentally exhausting, but it was a lot of motivation.
Why? What about the mental aspect? What about?
Because I feel like when you put yourself in that position and you like fall short, it's always like really, really heartbreaking. Like there's so many times where it's just like you work, and then you like go to the competition to like see your results, and then you fall like a little short, and you're just like, man, I like that's so much work that I'd put in to not make what I want, like complete what I wanted to do. But if you're like kind of like sitting on top and you like perform a little less than normal and you fall down a little bit, I feel like that's a little less, mentally exhausting. It's like, okay, like I had a rough day. Well, I mean, like I'm just assuming because I've never been in that position. But I feel like it's easier to just go back in the gym and be like, okay, I just need to be more consistent. Like that wasn't me. But for me, it was like, oh, I competed like 90% perfection. Like I did everything I could, but still falling short is just like, man, like how much more do I need to do?
Wow. And do you have any, I mean, support throughout the whole time? Like, do you have family, like community? Who
Mm.
who was supporting you through this whole time when you like had a doubts on yourself,
Mm-mm.
right?
Yeah, I mean, I think mainly so my dad would just take me to all my competitions. So he was like my main support, sometimes a little too much support where he's just like, you need to do this, you need to do that, like you need to focus this, and it's just like, yeah, dad, chill. I got this, I got this. But yeah, like we like throughout middle school and high school, like if it was like a travel meet, we would like hop in his car and we'll just drive to like 7 hours up to like from LA to like San Francisco, or we'll like drive out to Las Vegas. And if it's even longer than that, obviously we'll fly. But yeah, I think one of the things is just like my dad always being there to be like, hey, like last competition you were doing this, maybe this competition change it up, or last competition this worked out, so this competition maybe you should do the same thing. And that definitely like helped me like kind of calm down.
Do you see that now? Like, you're I feel like your parents they care so much, but do
Mm.
you feel like that keep you that they will give you some support that you couldn't see at that time? You know what I mean? Like,
Do I see that now?
yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of the support that I didn't see was like the financial side. Obviously, as a kid, you're just like going to compete and you're having fun, but it's expensive. Like like plane tickets, hotel, competition, uniform, like everything is like it's not cheap. And I think that's something that I kind of took advantage of when I was younger. And
Mhm.
like now looking back at it, I'm like, wow, they definitely pulled a lot of strings and worked really hard to like you know fund my passion.
Wow, that's amazing.
Mm.
And are you parents? Are you first generation, second generation in the US?
Um, I guess technically I'm zero because I was born in Japan.
Oh, okay, sorry. Okay, that's good. I'm sorry, I should have known.
No, you're good.
Okay, so that's interesting. So your parents are for immigrants, right? Like,
Yeah,
I mean, all of you. So you came to the US
when I was like
when
two.
too. Okay,
Yeah.
and your parents came here for what? Anything specifically? Like,
For my dad's job, his brother had a job here, and my dad asked like, "Hey, can I come join you at your work?" My uncle was like, "Yeah, come on, come over." So we just kind of moved. Is the story that I've been told. I don't know if that's true.
yeah, it's like the typical immigrant story.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
$20 in my pocket, and I built this multi-billionaire
I
company.
rode the canoe from Japan to here.
And then here I built the biggest company in the US. It's funny because I, working with people in different areas, and it's like this guy as well. It's like multi-billionaire
Yeah.
stories. Like, yeah, came from Israel, $100, and then I thought this multi-millionaire company. Like, yeah, how do you do it? What's the secret?
It's insane.
It's like work hard.
It's always like the super cliche, like
Yeah. No, but moving forward. So, obviously you had challenges, right? I mean, struggle is part of the sport and life, obviously. And one of my interests, and for our audience as well, is like, as an elite gymnast, I'm sure you have to deal with some injuries and setbacks. And those are inevitable, right? Like I work in this environment and you also been there. You've seen a lot of people going through it. So first of all, do you have injuries, and how do you cope with those injuries at that point in time?
Yeah, I had a lot of injuries. I think from end of 2018, so like 2019 through 2021, I think there was only like a few weeks where I wasn't injured. Like it was tough. I mean, gymnastics itself is like it's hard to stay healthy. Just because we're always competing, we're always training, so we always have to be like, at that 80-90% like performance level. I think other sports like, basketball or football, there's seasons. So it's like, you have competition, or you have, competing season where, you're having your competitions or your matches. And then you have your off season where it's like, okay, you get to relax. If you want to train, you get to train on your own, rehab, do your surgeries then if you have injuries. But for us, it was like, we had two major competitions, one in February and then it dips down, and then once in August. So it was like, we compete in February, but we only have now 5 months left to compete in August. But before that, we usually have like a competition in June or July. So it's like, okay, now we only have 3 months, 2 months. So it's like, we never really had that downtime to like, all right, you have a shoulder injury. Let's like take 2-3 months off. Let's get that healed. And then you'll get back in the gym. It's like, no, like if you're injured, then okay, what's the quickest way to do this? We got so many PRP injections. We got so many like steroid injections and stuff like that. Just because it's like a quick and easy, like, all right, get that in, you're off for a couple days and then get back in the gym. But I think I'm kind of going off on the question you asked.
No, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah, but I think,
yeah. So you had injuries, right? As you said, and then what was the process like? Let's pick the worst injury you had, and what was going through your mind at that point? What was the injury?
I think
if you have to pick one from your list.
Not the like worst injury in terms of like this, like the severity of the injury, but like timing wise, I think tearing my calf in 2020, right before like the Olympics and stuff happened, was probably the biggest one.
Oh wow!
And I don't know, that was another tough one. I guess I gave a bad example because it was like I never was able to recover from the injury, because it was like that was the injury that made me retire basically. So it was like, for me, in my head, it was always like, oh, if I had like another 5 months, if the Olympics was, pushed back another 5 months, I think I would have been able to do a good run. But yeah, unfortunately, that was one where it's like, I think mentally, like day by day, it was like, okay, do what you can today to like help yourself recover, help yourself stay in the game. Like don't push yourself too much, because then you'll just make it worse. Just like stay in this like limit of like, all right, like if I could push 30% without hurting, then let's just push that 29-30% and then go back to the training center, or go back to the recovery center and do your icing, heating, whatever you need to do. Next day, mentally you did 29% yesterday, let's go 35. Let's see how that works. Like, oh, 35 works. All right, let's go 35. All right, let's tone it back now. Go back to the, recovery center. Let's do it all over again. I think taking it little bits was probably the biggest thing that helped me get through that.
So you just setting up like daily small goals just to kind of like, seeing how your calf was feeling doing this move, or like, wow. Yeah. And how long do you have until the trials? How many since you had the injury to that point?
So when I don't like fully, like I remember the timeline, but I don't remember when that timeline happened, because like we get into 2020 or the end of 2020, so we realized the training center opened up, I think this was October of 2020. So we get back into the training center and we have training, and it's okay for a couple weeks. And then we had that spike in November, I think. And after that, the training center shut back down, and we wanted a place to train consistently, and the train like we were in communication with the training center the whole time, and we were just like, so like what are the chances that the training center stays open? And they were pretty open about it. They're like, we can't guarantee anything. Like it could stay open for 3 days, it could stay open for the rest of the year. Like we don't know. And so we were like talking to our USA Gymnastics Federation, and we're just like, so what's the best option? How do we train? And they're like, okay, here's like option A is you stay at the training center. You just have to stop training when they say to stop training. You can start training when they say you can start training. Or option B is we go to the Air Force Academy, which is in Colorado Springs where the training center is, and you could train over there. But the only issue with that one is you can't stay in the training center facility. You have to stay off site. So USA Gymnastics got us an Airbnb for like 3-4 months to train at the Air Force Academy. But that's when I first injured it. Oh, wait. No, sorry. I injured it a little bit. Like I had a little pop before that, but this was before the COVID lockdowns. This was back in like, I want to say March or April. And it wasn't that big of an issue. It was like, oh, like I think my calf just like popped a little bit. I think we're good. And I was like, doing regular rehab, regular stuff. Like it was totally fine. And then COVID happened. So I didn't know how severe the injury was. So it was like, training, and then no training. And then like from like April till October, I wasn't able to do much training. And then when we got back in October, November, and we were training at the Air Force Academy, that's when it was like really bad. Like I was on floor doing tumbling, and I just heard it pop, and I was like, "Oh, this is bad." Because that time I couldn't walk anymore. Not that I couldn't walk, but it was like it was really painful to walk, and that's when I knew it was like, okay, this is kind of bad. So,
when that happened, you knew it was bad. Like you're like, oh,
yeah,
shit, I think I did.
Yeah, when that happened, I'm just like, dang. One, because like it was hurting a lot, but two, because the Olympics were so close, it was like, wait, what's like the timeline for this? So like I went to my trainer, and I was like, what are my options? And she's like, okay, let's go to the doctor, let's figure this out, and then we'll go from there. And we went to the doctor, and he's all like, yeah, so there's the soleus and the gastroc on your calf, right? So what happened was one of them shifted against the other, and there's like a tear on that line. So he was like, this isn't like the worst injury. Like you could have torn your Achilles. Like this isn't terrible. You have like maybe a month and a half recovery time. Just try to do as much rehab as you can. I was like, okay, a month and a half. That's perfect. I have enough time to recover. So that was around November, December. So we had a competition in February in Indianapolis to qualify to USA Championships, to qualify to Olympic trials, to qualify for the Olympics. So I was like, that's a big one, but it's not the only one to qualify to USA Championships. So I was like, it's okay. I'll just compete what I can. I just didn't do any of the leg events. I didn't do vaults or floor. I just competed rings, P-bars, high bar, and pommels. And like, let's just try to do the best we can there. And then we'll petition to get into USA Gymnastics or USA Championships. And the competition went really well. I did, make my routines a little bit easier just because, I wasn't training 100%. And I was like, okay, I could do this. This is good. Like the competition went well. I feel good. And then last week of April, right before, like it was like 2 weeks or 3 weeks before we leave for USA Championships, on floor, I tear my calf again. And that's when I was like, all right, that's it. I think we're done here. But I went up to my trainer, and she was like, let's just get it checked out by the doctor again. I went to the doctor, and the doctor's like, I mean, it's the same thing. It's going to be a month or two. And I was like, I mean, I got weeks, I got days. Like, is there anything I could do? And he's all like, I mean, you could try and compete, but the chances of you like tearing it more or like getting a different injury is going to be, exponentially higher.
Yeah.
So this one, like he basically told me, was like, this one I'll leave up to you. Like, man to man, like you could go out there and compete, and like chances are it won't hurt at all. Like you compete totally fine, and everything will be okay. But there's also an equal chance of you actually hurting and maybe like losing like ability to walk comfortably for the rest of your life, where it's like, you're gonna have like a nagging pain for a while.
Yeah.
So that's when I was like, all right, you know what? Maybe I just got to call it.
How do you come to terms obviously that was the moment we told you, but you're like, all right, let me sleep on this, right? Because you're like, okay, it's
Yeah.
a lot of information coming at you at the point, right? And obviously 1 day, 2 days, you're like processing the information, or you were already like, I'm done.
I think,
You know what I mean?
yeah, it's like the grief thing where it's like I was like bargaining a little bit and I was upset and I was like, sad. But like when it first happened and I like first talked to the doctor, I'm just like, okay, there's gotta be something I could do. So like for the first, like I think after that, Brandy was our trainer. She was just like, you know what, just maybe you should just go home, ice it, and just kind of sleep on it. We'll figure it out tomorrow. And I remember I didn't sleep at all that night, and I was just like, I had my leg up, like I had like another chair, and I had my leg up, and I was icing it, and I'm just like how like for a while I was just like, okay, how do I heal an injury quicker than normal? Like I was just like going through all these like different scenarios in my head. But I think after like the first night, maybe the second night, I'm just like, yeah, this is it. I'm done. Like there's no, like the more I think about it, the more it's gonna be painful. I'd rather just like get it all done, just be like, you know what, I'm done. So I think I mean, it was like the third or fourth day. I remember like right before lineup for our training session, I was like, hey, I mean, I talked to the coaches already beforehand. I was like, hey, Andre, like I think I'm gonna have to retire because I can't, like this injury is just gonna, like I can't come back from it. And Andre's like, I understand. And so I talked to him like, all right, before we line up, or like during lineup, can I talk to the guys one last time? Or not one last time, but like, can I talk to the guys before they start training? And they're like, and he's like, oh yeah, of course, of course. Like we get to line up, and I was like, and Andre's like, hey, Kanji has a quick thing to say. And I remember I like lined up, and I was like, hey guys, so I'm planning to retire. This is it. Like I don't think I could come back from this injury. And I remember I finished talking, and like the first thing one of my teammates, Donathan, did was he was just like, hey man, I love you. And he just gave me a hug, and I just like broke down crying. And I was just like, because like for a while, I didn't really, I wasn't crying too much. I was like, the only time I got emotional was like when I was like talking to Brandy, but I wasn't like really crying. But that was the first time like I just realized like, oh my gosh, like 4 years of hard work, even longer, like before the 2016 Olympics, like, from like when I was a little kid, like it was like there was the flashback moment where like you just see everything. And I remember just hugging Donathan, and I'm just like, all these things, like simulations were happening, and I'm just like, I was training with all these guys for so long, and like and all of that just like came flowing out just at that one moment when I was like hugging Donathan, and he was just like, yo, I love you, bro, like congrats, or like I forgot what he said, was like good job or whatever. And then and then after that, I'm just like, hey guys, if you need me, I'm gonna be here. I'm not gonna like leave or anything. Like if you guys need help training, if you guys need help spotting, like I'll be here. And like for the rest of this week or week and a half, I was like in the gym with the guys. I was like sliding mats, and I was like, setting up vault tables and T-bar widths and stuff. Cause I like, since we trained for so long, like I know like, oh, Sam's going, like Sam's width is like, this much. I need to turn this in. I need to chalk up this area. Like we were a pretty well-oiled machine at that time. But yeah, that was, yeah, I think that's like the timeline of that whole situation.
At that period of time, do you have already an exit plan? Like do you? All right, because you probably were thinking, okay, after the Olympics, maybe I retire, or maybe you know what I mean. Like, oh, you ready? Do you have anything? Like, okay, I know what I'm gonna do now. Plan B.
Yeah. I mean, the thing was like, usually after the Olympics, we'll have like, a little bit of a celebration time just within USA Gymnastics. We'll have like obviously no, there's no competitions for a while. So we'll just like, if you want to compete, there's a couple international competitions, but usually people like, we'll send like younger guys there just for experience or whatever, but it's not like a big deal. But my goal, this was pre-COVID. This was like back in like 2019. I was like, maybe I'll go for another quad. Like I feel like 2024 isn't too far away. Like I feel like I know what I need to do to stay healthy. These past year was a little bit tough, just kind of like crunching everything. But I think I'll go for another run till 2024. And then COVID happened, and I feel like that just threw a wrench in that whole plan. Where it's just like, now it's like, is a training center going to be open after the Olympics? Is a training center going to continue supporting you, like gymnastics? Like, are they going to have like a spot for us? And then, usually when you train at the training center, you have like your goal plan that you submit to them, where it's like, all right, my goal is to make world championships in 2021, 2022, 2023, go to the Olympics 2024. And then between that, I want to, place top 3 on these events. And like, no, there's like a whole goal sheet that we had to fill out. But I feel like after like COVID happened, this was before the Olympics, but with Olympics being delayed a year, it's like, is it even worth competing like after that? Like, I feel
Yeah.
like we don't even know when COVID is going to end. Am I going to be able to continue training? And then all the stuff with the training center being open, like I feel like when I was at that point, I no longer had a plan. And that was like the weirdest feeling of like structured gymnastics plan from like, when I was like 10 years old till when I was till like, point of retirement. And then all of a sudden it's like, I have nothing.
How's that? How does it feel now? I mean, obviously we're in that environment 100%. You're like, okay, 7 a.m. You have to get ready, get up, eat, treatment 8 a.m., training 9 a.m., lunch, repeat, strength conditioning.
Well,
It's just like you had a structure, right?
yeah.
And after, this all happens, how do you cope with like not having a structure? Like or do you have some structure now that you kind of like try to do? Obviously not the same intensity as being an elite athlete. Like how does it transition from that to elite athlete to normal life?
I mean, I'm still trying to figure it out, and it's been 3 years, but yeah, I had like no structure. The one thing though I realized is like there's so much time in the day now. Like I remember like the first like it was the funniest thing. Like the first 3 months maybe like everything revolved around training right before. But the first 3 months after retirement, I'm all like, okay, so I have to if I want to go hang out with friends, I need to do it between. And like I'll be like thinking like between like this time and this time, which was like mentally it was between training times, right? We have like morning training, we have afternoon training, and I was like, okay, morning training ends around 11, so I could like hang out with my well, I was only hanging out with AD because we moved back to California at the same time. And I was like, okay, we could go to like AD and I could go grab coffee from like noon, but then I need to get back by 1. I was like, wait, why do I need to get back by 1 for? And why does it have to be noon? Why can't I do it in the morning, like at 9 a.m.? I don't know, like the mentality of like not having training was like such a weird thing to like grasp, where I was like, yo, AD, like, do you want to go grab coffee? And he's like, okay, do you want to do like 7 a.m. or do you want to do like 11 a.m.? And it's just like, well, why not 9? And we were both just like, oh yeah, why not 9? Like, dude, we don't have training. Like we could just go whenever. Yeah, it was tough. But I think now I'm starting to get a better feel of like, okay, sorry, another quick story. Like another thing that was really hard to get my mind around was like vacations. So like,
Okay.
because like we like I think you could talk to anyone in the gymnastics community at this, and they'll probably say the same thing. But like you plan your vacations around your competition. So you have like how I was saying you have a major competition in February and then in August. So it was like August, if you didn't qualify for any like world events, and like September, October is like the prime time to like plan out your vacations. Or like March, April is like the prime time to plan out your vacations. So there's a couple times where we're like planning to go up to the mountains to go skiing or snowboarding or whatever. And it'll be like, oh, dude, like, do you want to go? And I'll be like, all right, what month is it? Is it? And like, that was like the first thing that popped into my head. And it's just like, wait, why does it matter? Like, I could go whenever I want. Like, I could take vacations whenever I want. Why am I thinking about what month it is? And that, yeah, the first couple like vacation times I'm trying to take, it was like, I'm getting my mind away from the fact that I have to plan stuff. Like, I could just, well, I mean, obviously I still have to plan stuff, but it's like, I could plan it whenever I want. Yeah.
What do you miss the most being in that environment?
What was it? What?
What do you miss the most being in that environment with all your, teammates back then?
What did it mean?
What do you miss the
Oh,
most?
miss. Oh, I don't know. That's a lot. I think one thing is like there's like I just finished my first semester of my grad program. I did also 2 years at a community college to get to this program, and like I kind of miss like having your own like a group that's always around with you, because like you have classmates, but classmates change with different classes. But like I feel like when we're at the training center and like in training as a team, like there was always that group where it's like if you have problems with one thing, you know who to go to for that problem. Like if I have like a technical aspect, I'll ask Donathan, like, yo, Donathan, like I'm having issues with this. Like, what do you think? Or if I have like, something um like an issue with like nutrition or stuff like that. I mean, we have nutritionists as well, but I'll talk to like Sam and like, oh, I've been eating a lot of this recently, and it's like helped with like feeling bloated, or helped with like, if I'm feeling a little weak today, like I've been eating a lot of this, and like that helped me a lot. But just like having people, like knowing who to go to directly, like, hey, I need to go to this guy, like he's my friend, like he'll hook me up, is something I probably miss the most. Where it's just like, yeah, like, oh, like I just want to hang out and play video games. Like, oh, I'll just go to AD and like we'll just play video games for like 2 hours. Like I think that's something I miss
Yeah.
the most. Yeah.
I mean, I remember you guys were like I said before in the beginning, you guys are individual sports, but as a group, you guys like, fighting for each other and like supporting each other in those times. That was my perception when I was working with you, which is cool now that you say that. Now I want to show you this picture here, and it's nothing.
Is it bad? You exposing me?
No, it's not. You just put this picture up there.
Oh yeah.
So when you obviously wrote this about 169 weeks, which is probably 3 years or so. Well, was it hard for you to like hit that upload? But you know what I mean, like,
yeah.
All right, if I put this out there, this is it.
It's over.
I mean, like,
Yeah.
There is no like turning back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think by the time I was like ready to start typing that out and like, posting it, like mentally I was like ready to press send, but like I know I don't fully remember when I posted that, but I know like what I was going through. It was just like it was, I think it's already been a couple days since I had the injury. And I'm pretty sure I already talked to the coaches and I already talked to the team. And it's probably a couple days after that. So it's probably been like a week since the injury. And I talked to parents, I talked to all my relatives and stuff. And I remember like after pushing post, I'm just like I feel like this like weight was kind of like off my shoulders. I'm like it's all out there. Like that was like the last thing I needed to do. Like was like post something to tell, like other teammates that, don't train with regularly, to tell people that have supported me, to tell people that, have watched me throughout the years that, I'm done. And then after that, I was just like, oh, you know what? Like, I actually feel a little bit better knowing that it's all out there, and it's like I'm like not finally done, but I'm done with this part of like the retirement.
Yeah. Let me read it here because people that are not watching this might listen to this on Spotify. So, or you can describe the picture actually. What are you doing there? Because you might know.
Oh, this is actually a fun little backstory. So yeah, AD and we were into photography a lot. AD was much more into it. He was a much better than I was. For me, it was like a fun stuff to do. But we all had like these like DSLR cameras, and we were like really into photography. And like that's another thing I miss a lot too. Was like AD and I would just go out on like random adventures. We'll just like drive out through Colorado and just like find some stuff to do, and then we'll just take pictures.
Which is beautiful up there, like nature.
So beautiful. Yeah, it was like the perfect place to do that. But every once in a while, we'll have like a gym photo shoot. We'll ask the security guard. We'll be like, hey, is it okay if we do a quick photo shoot? And the security guard will be like, oh yeah, for sure. I'll just leave the door unlocked. Just make sure you lock it afterwards. And so like we'll go in, and AD had these super cool lighting setups that will like the little umbrellas with like the lights and stuff.
Nice.
And so we like set up the whole gym, and we'll just take a bunch of these pictures together. And this was one of AD's pictures where AD, like I hopped up on the P bars and I'm like, what do I do with my hands? And he's all like, oh dude, you should clap. And cause like I didn't have any chalk, but it had a little bit of dust, and like, oh, you should clap and see like if that'll look cool. And like we did one, and he took a picture. It's like, you need way more chalk. Grab a bunch of chalk. So I remember like jumping up on the P bars with like 2 handfuls of chalk, and I'm like shimmying my way up to get up there. And I was like, all right, AD, we got one chance at this. And he's like, all right, ready. Like 3, 2, 1. And I clap, and just this massive smoke of just chalk goes up. And I turned to AD like, did you even get my face? And he's like, I think I got it. And then like we go through it, and like so like he has like one of those burst shutters, so it'll take like 20 pictures at a time. So like this was probably like one in the middle, but you could see like the frame by frame, and all the chalk just like goes onto my face and onto my body, and I don't know, it was so funny. But
That's
yeah,
cool.
that was that picture, and this was taken like a while ago, like 2017, 18.
So you wrote here, never thought this post would come at this time, but
Mhm.
after 23 years in this amazing sport, I have decided to hang up my grips. I mean, it probably would have been very emotional just to come up with that quote there, no? But you did it.
Yeah.
But you know what? How's life now? What are you up to now? What are you up to? I know you went to Japan.
Yeah. I mean, it's been crazy recently. Yeah, I went to Japan. I went to Japan 3 years since I moved back. So it's been fun. I've been trying to find work there, but yeah, right after I retired and I moved back, like we were talking earlier, like I was trying to find a little bit of structure, a little bit of like like a path that I wanted to take. And one of my teammates and one of my really good friends, Rob, that we used to train together at the training center, he talked to me about computer science because he graduated with a master's degree in Stanford. And he was saying like, I think you'd be pretty good at this. Like, this is what I'd studied. And he just kind of gave me like a whole like spiel about computer science. So I was like, it was just funny because this was like 2021 during COVID, like right before this was way before retiring. This was like, or sorry, 2020 and COVID. And that was just like in the back of my head. And then like I moved back here and like I was just like, what do I do? Do I go back to training? Like I could like, try and just train at my local gym that I grew up in, and maybe I'll like get my head back into it. And then I remembered what Rob told me, and I was like what can I do to like, maybe I'll start pursuing that. So I like looked up community college around here and see if they have like a computer science program. And luckily one super close by did, Orange Coast College. And I like talked to one of their counselors. And I was like, hey, like I want to get a degree. Like, how do I do this? And she was just like, yeah, this is like what we offer. We don't offer a bachelor's. So if you want to get a bachelor's, then you have to go somewhere else. And like, like a bunch of other stuff. Like, I don't want to like make this too long, but after that, I was going for a bachelor's degree. And then I ended up finding out that a master's degree is better. Well, obviously it's better, but it's easier for me because I already have a bachelor's degree from when I was in college. So that was something I'd never expected I was gonna do. Like I didn't expect to get my master's in comp sci, and so I applied to Cal State Fullerton, and they approved of me going to their master's program. And then like a couple months ago, or not even a couple months ago, what is it, August? Yeah, August 10th, I moved to my apartment right now, and now like school is like right across the street.
Nice. How's life now going back to college again? Like after a few years, you're like,
It's weird, man. It's fun. I absolutely love it. Actually, I think college is something I took for granted the first time. Whereas like I'm here to train. Like I went to the University of Oklahoma for my bachelor's, and I was like there, like I hope one of my old teammates or maybe my coach watches this podcast, because like I was not a good student back in Oklahoma. Like I did not care about school. I just wanted to train. Like I loved training. I loved being in the gym, and like school was like not even a second thought. It was like a fourth thought. Like it was just like way down the line. But
nice.
now I'm back in school. I'm realizing like how much fun, how much like it's like maybe I don't know if it's just like I'm filling the void that gymnastics left behind, but I'm able to put so much time and effort and like focus into something new. And it's like, again, maybe I'm just compensating for gymnastics or whatever, but I love it. It's something that I didn't experience the first time, where I'm actually talking to resources and reaching out and trying to figure out like my best option for schooling right now. But yeah, it's been great. I love it.
Nice. So now that you've obviously retired for a few years, do you stay connected to the sport at all? Or
Not really.
yeah.
I would like to stay more connected. Um, but I think one issue that kind of came up is like because of COVID And because the training center kind of shut down, there was kind of like this rift of like people who trained before COVID and the people who trained after COVID, where it's like people like after the 2020, like Tokyo Olympics, 2021 Olympics, like the people I trained with, most of them retired. It was like that was like the breaking point for them. And so like after 2020, the people that I knew and I grew up with and trained with were no longer there. So it was like a bunch of new people, or not new, but a bunch of younger guys, bunch of like up and comers that I only like, competed once or twice with. Finally, like, they had their surge where they're like, this is their year, this is their quad. So it's been tough to like kind of stay connected, because usually like you stay connected by like previous athletes, like, hey, how's it training at the training center? Like, how's coach, whatever, how's, all this stuff. But it's like, well, the training center no longer does gymnastics. And the only people that are like continuing training are these college guys. And like, unless you went to that college, it's tough to like reach out and be like, hey, I heard, this so-and-so is training at the University of Michigan. Like, how is this person? It's like, it's kind of like an awkward conversation to have.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So I don't know. I wish I was more tied to the sport, but sadly I'm not.
Hey, I mean, maybe now you're in college, this might be, you're gonna go watch college. Do they have a gymnastics there or no?
No, they don't have college.
Oh,
No.
okay.
They might have
Yeah, that's right.
maybe a women's, but I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay, man. It's been really fun. So, but it's two questions I want to ask you.
Yeah.
Before we go, one of them is, what advice do you have for your younger self, knowing what you know now?
Dang, that's a good question. I think slow it down. Like slow everything down was probably the biggest thing. For me, so in 2016, I qualified to Olympic trials, and after that, I feel like I was at this like full sprint to 2020. Like I was like, this is all I want to do. This is what the one goal that I have. This is it. And like I was just sprinting to the finish line, and I think because of that, like I was ignoring a lot of key things about my own body, about like certain issues, just about myself, like mentally, physically, emotionally. Like it was always like, well, like, this thing hurts, but I'm just going to push it till, next year. Cause then like I'll have time to rest. And it's like, oh, next year happened. Like, well, it's okay. Cause like, it's not hurting too bad. So I'm just going to push it to next year. And like, I feel like if I had the ability to go back and talk to my younger me, I'd be like, you know what? Like right now you're young and you're not injured, but injury is going to come soon. Just take it slow. Like you don't need to rush, like enjoy what you're doing now. Cause I think when you're enjoying it, it's easier to improve. It's easier to grow. It's easier to, continue staying motivated. But
yeah.
I mean, I think.
Do you feel like it could be, it's something that when I looked at it, when you said that, it's just like, okay, you were just so like focused to get that goal, but you forget about what's happening around you. And then you lost some of that like feeling and experiencing life a little bit. Is that something like, or like, what?
Yeah, definitely. Like you mean like outside of gymnastics, right?
Yeah,
definitely. I think the issue is like, I think it also ties into like slowing things down, but like the issue is like, instead of taking that chance of like, hey, maybe I'll take like another, couple days off just to like, take a break from everything and go on vacation with, either girlfriends or friends or whatever. Instead of taking that chance, I'm all like, no, I need to focus on gymnastics. And so like there was like a couple opportunities where it's like I 100% could have taken a weekend off. I 100% could have taken like a couple days off, maybe to go back home to catch up with family or go do other stuff, and have like almost no effect to my training. And like and the fact of not taking those chances, I think, was definitely like something that like a missed opportunity, I guess. Yeah.
And how is there anything specific that you remember from that you missed? Man, I wish could have made it to, I don't know, friends.
Yeah.
Birthday or something like
I think one thing was, so after 2016 trials, I had the opportunity to go to Germany to compete in their like team competition. They have like a Bundesliga for gymnastics, and I had an opportunity to compete there. And then after that, I was still in contact with the team and the managers and the owner and stuff. And they're like, "Yo, you're welcome to come back anytime. Just let us know." And since I was so focused on like competing for like USA Gymnastics, it was like I had opportunities where they're like, "Hey, we're coming up on our seasons. Do you think you could come compete for us? If it's only like 2 or 3 competitions, like we could really use your help." I would be like, I can't like this. I'm just too focused on this competition right now. And even if I'm not in competition, I'm like I'm too focused on recovery. I'm too focused on this. Like I think I should have taken like a week or two and be like, you know what, let's go to Germany. Let's compete with those guys. I don't even have to do difficult routines. I just, it'll be a fun like refresher. Like I need to like, maybe I need to change of pace. But, I was so just like, horse blinded that I was like, I don't need to change of pace. I just need to recover. Or I just need to get stronger. Or I need to get, something like that.
Yeah. That's interesting, man, because, I think life, like you say, everything's going fast. And I think when being in sports environment, you kind of lose some of that, that there's so much more outside. But like you said, if you were missing one day of training, it would have never affected your full, your overall performance, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, but it's easier to say now than when you were like in it. But yeah, hey, last questions. So, what is one thing or two things that you want people to remember you in the sports of gymnastics?
I think the one thing that pops up in my head is that I was a hard worker, that I was able to take every day in the gym and work to the fullest. Because I feel like myself, that's what I did. I feel like I definitely took advantage of every day and worked as hard as I could. And I guess on a more like comedic side, I would like to be known as that I was pretty clutch, because I was the anchor for 2018 Pan American Championships on a couple events, and I was able to I remember high bar was our last event, and it was us in Brazil. Basically, we were just doing this the whole day, and I remember my coach is like, "All right, you just need to hit a routine. That's all you need to do." I was last, maybe it wasn't last up, but I was up on high bar anyways, and I was just like, "All right, let's do it." And I remember once I get into that zone, everything just moves into autopilot. And I remember looking at my routine. I looked at this routine recently, actually, because I was scrolling through my past photos, and I was like, I don't even remember doing this routine very much. I remember saluting, and I remember jumping up, and after that is just like autopilot. And I remember landing and sticking, and I'm just like, yeah, let's go. But I don't really remember doing the routine. But I would like to be known that I was pretty clutch, especially in college too. I feel like I had some pretty clutch moments.
Nice. That's so cool, man. So, hey, there you have it, man. So thank you so much for your time, for talking to us. I think there's so much knowledge and wisdom that you shared with us, and I appreciate it. I've been really, I'm really grateful that you actually took the time to talk to me. I know you're probably busy with school and life now. I mean, you have a lot of more free time, so you can actually do this now. Before, I don't know if I had time to even talk to you, but I mean, I wish you all the best. Thank you for everything, and I know whatever you're gonna do next, computer science, you're gonna do well because you're a hard worker, as you said, and I think it's gonna go well for you. Thank you so much, Kanji.
Thank you, Carlos. Appreciate you.
But